let's get to know your ego. Hi there, I'm Anne-Katrin and I am occasionally awake. I'm here to help you experience your own occasional awakenings and learn to embrace the time in between. Welcome to my channel. On this channel I talk about self-help, energy, ego, awakenings and more to help you have your own occasional awakenings. So today let's talk about the ego. We've all heard of it, we all have a basic understanding of what it is and what we can blame it for, because that's one of the things we really like to do. We often like to make our ego responsible for the worst parts of us, for the things that are not working, for the people we judge, for feelings of anger and jealousy. But the ego really is so much more than that. In fact, it's everything. The ego is our identity. Our identity is us, which means that we gotta broaden our concept of what the ego really is so that we can understand it better, understand us better, and also see how the ego really is one of our best parts. The main part, to be precise. Honestly, I'm so happy you're here right now. So please like and subscribe to become occasionally awake with me. So now, let's get to know your ego. The ego is our identity. Our identity is a mosaic of the life experiences that have been evaluated and analyzed by our body and mind and are based on all the experiences we've had so far in our lifetime. These experiences are both big and small, both meaningful and insignificant, both good and bad, both blissful and traumatic. The ego is like a complex computer-like evaluation tool that's been spending its life, your life, analyzing the data in your body-mind archives, in the archives of all the life experiences you've made. In order to get to know our ego better, let's look at some aspects of our lives and our identity in which the ego is actually reflected, where the ego is at work to produce the effect that we end up perceiving. We are mirrored in our relationship to other people, in our choice of friends, in our romantic partnerships, in the people we get along well with, as well as in the people that we cannot stand. We are mirrored in the people we admire, as well as in the people that we envy. In fact, we can never know another person except for by the lens through which we perceive them. All our communication and interaction with others is based on our own individual and very subjective perception. So if you want to get to know yourself as well as your ego more intimately, both of them, because it's kind of the same thing, you get it? You can ask yourself some simple questions. For this example, let's just take people you really admire and make a list of all those people. Look at their common denominator. Take a very close look at what it is that you admire about them. How you would like to have that aspect that you admire reflected in your own life, because that's usually what it comes down to with this example. And then let's continue with the next example, which is very related to admiration, and that is envy. Which people do you envy? Now, this can tell us a lot about our ego, in fact. It can let us know which aspects we actually secretly admire in other people. Now, the thing with envy is that it often exposes to us our hidden blocks, because envy tends to include this idea of, oh, they get to have that because they have other circumstances, other living situations, they have more money, they have that job, they have that appearance, they have that group of friends, they have that fame, and therefore they get to have it. And that really tells us about our own blocks, about our ego's blocks, that make it subjectively, at least, hard for us to incorporate that into our own lives. Our preferences and values. So now let's talk about our preferences and values, because they too are a simple yet very, very powerful reflection of what our ego is, what our ego needs, who our ego identifies as, who we identify as, because it's the same thing, you know. Both preferences and values can be the product, the outcome, the consequence of either very positive life experiences that we've had or very negative life experiences that we've had. So this directionality is a huge aspect of what the ego is, of how the ego operates, because the notion of preferences and values is also a reflection of the ego's needs. And the ego takes those needs from the life experiences we've had. Let's take freedom as an example. So if one of your main values, if one of your core values is freedom, this can mean that you had either very positive experiences of being free in your life, or you had the exact opposite. You had many experiences of feeling unfree, feeling dependent on other people. Both expressions surrounding that value, that concept of freedom, can lead us to emphasizing freedom as a core value in our lives, wanting to create more of that, wanting to orient future life choices around meeting that need. So now let's talk about our goals and expectations. They too are an expression of our ego, of ego activity. Again, this means that our goals and our expectations are based on certain needs of our ego that are based on the ego archives, on that database of our life experiences that we've had so far, which operates and functions as the basic tool of evaluation of our current life and the situations we find ourselves in. Our goals and expectations tell the story of the person we want to be, of the person we want to become, of that best version of ourselves that we strive towards. So if you want to reflect on your goals and the ego needs behind that, really ask yourself, what do I want this for? Who am I doing this for? And in some cases, we can get to the conclusion that there's somebody we want to impress. Ask yourself, why is this so important to me? Why do I want to achieve that, honestly? Now let's continue with our fears and triggers. Fears and triggers too are a reflection, a need of the ego. Understanding the ego as that evaluation tool of our body-mind archives, of the mosaic of our life experiences, means getting a glimpse at the truth and reality of logic, of cause and effect, of consequence. To break this down and make this more digestible, this basically means that if there's a fear, if there's a trigger, there's a reason for that. That's all that it is. This is simply about understanding that your system, your field, your experiences, your fears and your triggers also are based on logic, are based on an understanding that may be beyond what you currently get about yourself, about the context of your life, your responses to certain things. You might be like, oh, I don't know why I always get so upset about that. I get mad at that person and we have a fight, and afterwards I'm like, but why did I freak out that much? I don't really know. And this is just one very random example that often leads to the assumption, well, I'm just weird, or I'm just crazy, or it's just the way it is even though I don't understand it. I don't make sense. This does not make sense. And of course, we can transfer this logic to other people, to how we understand and meet other people and their needs. Because behind every fear, no matter if it's your own or another person's, behind every trigger, no matter if it's your own or another person's, is logic, is a reason. And if we just get that principle, it can be so much easier to feel just a little bit of love and compassion for ourselves. And also for our ego, because the ego is the part of us, is us, that is creating these needs and voicing these needs, often beyond our own conscious understanding. Got any occasional awakenings yet? Now I'd like to hear about your experience. What did you take away from today's video? And what other aspects can you think of that really reflect our ego's needs? If you resonated with this, please like and subscribe. And if you want more insights on duality, non-duality, and the concepts in between, please visit me at occasionallyawake.com to enhance your own awakenings. Bye.